All right, so this is going to be a quick video. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
This is we looked at a naked chart. We've covered some basic candlesticks. I want to also cover something in this video too. What I'm doing with you is I'm constantly throwing you in the deep end of the pool.
Okay.
So I'm throwing you in the deep end of the pool. You don't know how to swim, but I'm also not letting you drown.
Okay.
But I'm just seeing, like, can you pick up how to swim by yourself? So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this very specifically because this is all going to come together and you're going to have a lot of questions, but then you're going to start seeing how things connect. And then we're going to get into more detail, maybe around candlesticks or specific indicators or anything else we cover. But you're going to get an introduction. So it's me constantly throwing you in the deep end. And then eventually you're going to learn to swim. And then we'll get into, okay, let's talk about the detail of this.
Okay.
So in this video, we're just going to cover volume. And volume is this down here that you see down at the bottom. And volume really it's the measure of the number of shares in a stock that's traded. So, or contracts. So for instance, we trade futures markets. It'll be the number of contracts. In Bitcoin, we're looking at Bitcoin. This is the amount of Bitcoin that was traded. And you'll notice the volume down here at the bottom, it matches the color matches the bar above it. So if you see green volume, that typically is a green bar.
Okay.
That's the standard setup. Now, a lot of times, we'll get into indicators. Volume is an indicator on this chart. So if you see here on the settings, a lot of times what people do is they do a volume moving average, which is a moving average of, I think the moving average here is 20. Yeah. So that's a moving average of the volume of the last 20 bars. So the last 20 volume bars. So we'll get into this more with indicators, but usually you'll see a volume and then you'll see a moving average. And then what people look for in volume, I'll share with you the philosophy of the rec stock trading system. We don't care about volume that much. There's only 2 times that we care about volume. The reason for that is because we have an indicator in the system that takes care of our volume analysis, so we don't have to do deep volume analysis. There's some people that really look at volume that confirms a move, or because volume is the number of shares traded. So obviously if there's more people trading, you would say, well, this move down, since there's more people participating, it maybe would have a stronger impact because there's more people there.
Okay.
The other thing that you can look at too is you can kind of see based on volume when the market is open and when it's not, because when the volume gets bigger, that's usually during the day when the market's open. And then, so for instance, in the NQ, you don't quite see it, but if we go, and we're on a 4-day chart, so that's the other problem. So let's go on oh, that's really ugly. So here, we're looking at a 1-hour chart. You can kind of see when the market's open. So
yeah, like those big gaps.
So this is when this is the overnight session, when the volume's really low. And then see here, when the volume's really high, this is when the market's open during the day.
Okay.
So you can really see a difference there. So now in the RDTS, you're going to learn the only time we care about volume is what's called stopping volume. We look for stopping volume, or we look for exhaustion. That's the only time we look at volume. Otherwise, you can ignore it. It's almost meaningless. It's almost meaningless because we also have an indicator that we use in our system that factors in volume, so we don't need to do advanced volume analysis.
Okay.
But you might want to. You might, and I know I say this a lot. You might learn more about volume and say, well, volume gives me an edge. So I'm not trying to discount you from not doing it. I'm just saying that the base fundamentals of the rec stock trade system, we don't worry about volume except in 2 instances. And you'll learn about that where it's stopping volume or exhausted volume. So that's and that just tells us whether or not what we see in the chart is confirmed. But we'll have another video that will cover that once we cover indicators and we cover momentum and we cover impulse moves and everything else.
Okay? All right. Sounds good.
So this quick video, what did we cover? If we could just recap it, that'd be great.
All right. So what you told me from what volume is the measure of how the total number of shares are traded in that bar.
Correct. Yes.
as well. Does that include both buyers and sellers?
Yeah, so that's buyers and sellers, and like I said, if the default setup is that if the bar is green, then the volume bar is green too.
Okay.
So, and the way to look at that would be that there's more buyers than sellers in that bar. That's the way to look at it. Same with the red bar. If it's red, there's more sellers than buyers
Okay.
in that bar. So that would be the way to look at it.
All right. And then the other 2 points that I got from this was the stopping volume and exhausting volume. But you said that would be covered in at a later time.
Yeah. So let me just add a little context to this, just so that. So in a trade system, when you're executing in real time, the less decisions you have to make, and I know you understand this, the less decisions you have to make in real time, the better. In high stress situations, the less decisions you have to make. So if you include volume analysis in your trade decision, that's just one more thing you have to add to your analysis in real time. Now, if that works for you, great. But I'm going to teach you where it really doesn't matter, because the rules and the system that you trade will factor in that volume analysis. You won't have to do it.
So it's mitigating that extra thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, but some people like volume analysis. Some people, there's indicators that are really heavy volume analysis indicators. So, but I used to talk about this a lot more about in the past, volume. I've since discarded it from the system because there's only really 2 instances where it really matters.
Okay.
So I've been on a path over the last year or 2 years of eliminating the unnecessary things in the Rexdog trading system, so that you're only focused on what's important at that given time.
All right.
Is there anything else in volume that we didn't that
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
That we covered. So.
All right, take us out.
Yachts.